On April 18, 1983, Ronald Reagan was wakened with a word that a car bomb went off at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, killing 5 U.S. Marines. Of the ceremony held in the Marines' honor 5 days later, President Reagan wrote in his diary, "I was too choked up to speak." But later that day, while delivering a radio address to the nation on the bombing, President Reagan said,
"We don't know yet who bears responsibility for this terrible deed. What we do know is that the terrorists who planned and carried out this cynical and cowardly attack have failed in their purpose. They mistakenly believe that if they're cruel enough and violent enough, they will weaken American resolve and deter us from our effort to help build a lasting and secure peace in the Middle East. Well, if they think that, they don't know too much about America."
The great Ronald Reagan. The great Ronald Reagan. A lot of crazy going out there today, America. A lot of crazy out there. Jon Stewart, a.k.a. Leibowitz, says he agrees with Chatsworth Catarleson. I'm not surprised. You know, there's a lot of talk, a lot of writing about what they call the horseshoe. Think about a horseshoe. Think about the upper end of the left horseshoe. At the top, it's open, but the upper left. And you have the radical left, the communists, the Islamists, people like that. Then think of the going around the horseshoe back up to the right, at the top of the right. And then you have the Islamists, then you have the Klansmen, the white supremacists, the neo-Nazis, and the isolationists. And the point of the horseshoe is that they are in bed together now. So that's why a Bernie Sanders and a Tlaib and a John Leibowitz sound like a, Chatsworth Catarleson or Steve Bannon and people like that. Did you see, Mr. Producer, that Steve Bannon thinks I and Sean and Kayleigh McEnany, a wonderful lady, and all of Fox should be investigated by the government for supporting Israel? Did you see that? I guess we should all be thrown in prison. The point of an investigation, right, is to prosecute and throw people in prison. I thought to myself, wow. Imagine that. Imagine that. Can you imagine that, ladies and gentlemen? This guy's always looked to me sort of like Rosie O'Donnell in pants. Just saying. As he sits there slobbering all over himself. He used to make some sense to me. But over time, he makes very little sense. Now, he was wrongly put in prison, in my view, so I won't hold that against him. When the January 6th group and the Biden regime went after him, I happened to support him. I openly supported him. I openly defended him. But loyalty is a funny thing. So now I should be investigated. Sean should be investigated. Kayleigh McEnany should be investigated. All of Fox should be investigated. I guess they'll throw Jack Keane in there and Brian Kilmeade. Got to have a list. And check it twice. Wow. I wonder if he's a special suit, A German suit from the 1930s. Now, I don't even think the Germans made suits that big for a guy of his husk. But you never know. You never know. Let's see here. I'm trying to find. 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. Didn't he plead guilty? Yes. Now, I'm not going to pull all this up. You folks can look on the internet yourself. He pled guilty to one or more offenses involving, I believe it was fundraising for a wall. Remember that, Mr. Producer?
Yes, that's true.
And what happened? He pled guilty. Multiple charges. I think it was a charity that was set up, something like that. I mean, I can go in and dig it all up. I'm doing this by memory. You would think you'd be careful about saying which people should be investigated and I guess prosecuted and I guess thrown in prison by the government. I mean, I can think of another one. How about Chatsworth Catarleton? Qatar, Putin. I mean, these are enemies, right? Israel's an ally. Or him. What about China? Oh, I do know, Steve-O. That's right, China. As time goes on, these people reveal themselves as crazy as bat crap. That's what they are. They have no loyalty to the president, no loyalty to MAGA. They are absolute reprobates, in my humble opinion, of course. But now we've reached a point where one of them thinks we should be investigated because we support the Jewish state of Israel. He claims to support it too, you see. Funny, though, he just doesn't think they should be able to defend themselves. Or, if we participate in taking out a nuclear site because these bastards want to slaughter us too, well, then you should be investigated. So I guess 80% of the American people should be investigated. 84% of Republicans. In one poll, 90% of MAGA should be investigated under another poll. So what kind of world does this guy live in? One with padded walls, I think. Now, I'm not going to spend any more time on this unless I get an inkling to do it as the show goes on. There's always Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday. 52 weeks a year, 3 hours a day. These fools don't get it, man. They just don't. And, of course, Mediocrite, which attracts his ilk and loves to get comments from all kinds of really sick people. They thought this was a big story. They ran with a headline. So in pour the Jew haters, in pour the neo-Nazis providing their comments, cheering this stuff on because they need those clicks. They rely on those clicks. That's what they rely on. But when you start to see the ugly underbelly of the Chatsworth-Catarlsons, of the Stephen Bannons, I'll come up with a... he does remind me of Rosie O'Donnell, though. He really does. Or I'll think of another name. I'll figure out a name. And you start to watch... Matt Gaetz is back. Wow. And his little producer. Matt Gaetz is out there. Remember him? Remember the ethics complaint? These guys are seedy, sleazy. Remember him? Remember the ethics investigation? Remember how he went after the former speaker because he wanted that ethics investigation killed? I really can't blame him. That's right. I really can't blame him. Sleazeball, complete sleazeball. So he posts about Israel not allowing Arabs to vote. You know, that whole apartheid thing. The problem is in Israel, they do allow Arabs to vote. There's 2 million of them, they vote. They participate in government. They're elected to the Knesset. They're judges. They're in the military. It's not that Matt Gaetz ever knew what he was talking about. It's another weirdo, quite frankly. It's a whole cabal. That's like this Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. See all the friends I'm making? They hate my guts anyway. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think there's anybody more profound than her. Do you, Mr. Producer? Nobody. Speaks as articulately, posts so intelligently, as I think they call her MTG, just like AOC. She has her own initials. So I'm going to have a mass swearing in here, Mr. Producer, to Fatties United. Some of these individuals are fat, some of them are not. Doesn't matter anymore. We've decided to diversify. Although in the case of Steve-O, with that Rosie O'Donnell look of his, he fits the mark. So I want to welcome them all to FU. FU, Fatties United. Bannon, Gaetz, MTG. But we do have our standards, so we're not going to allow Chatsworth-Catarlson into our program. No. Can't have somebody who probably stabbed the pilot in the back. You know, we have our special plane and so forth. In fact, let's do this. Isn't there that comedian? What is that comedian's name, Rich? That we have the audio for? Rich listening to the program? I think he is.
Ami Kozak, K-O-Z-A-K.
Ami Kozak, K-O-Z-A-K. This guy is funny. And I posted this. And he's now making a career off of Chatsworth-Catarlson. We'll play this, then we're going to get down to business. We've got a lot to talk about. Go.
I mean, well, it's very obvious. It's clear to me that the government of Israel is controlling our politicians. There's no question. And I can't support that as an American, as a Christian. I can't get behind that.
And you think it's too much influence?
AIPAC has enormous influence on our congressmen.
There's many organizations that influence our politicians.
I don't know why that's a good thing. Is it a good thing? It could be a good thing, but I'm not sure. I don't think it is.
Didn't you support Donald Trump?
Of course I did. Yes, I campaigned for him.
And you know he's been very pro-Israel. He supports Israel. Doesn't that mean by extension you support Israel?
What does that? It doesn't mean that at all. Like at all.
Well, why would you support Donald Trump if he supported Israel? Why would you do that? I don't see why you would do that if it's against your values as an American.
I mean, well, what do you?
I mean, you're supporting a candidate who proudly supports Israel. I would think you would support Israel. Why would you support a candidate who supports Israel if you don't support Israel?
I'm not really understanding what you're saying. Like, it's not really making sense to me, like, at all.
I'm sorry, I can't get past that. You're supporting proudly a leader who's been proudly supportive of Israel. And now you're saying you don't support that president? That seems contradictory.
Well, I do want him to succeed, but do I want him to fail? I think failure can be good for people. People can learn a lot from failure. I certainly have learned a lot from failure. But
why would you contradict yourself?
Well, not as much as you're contradicting yourself. I mean, it's speaking out of both sides of your mouth. I mean, do you have two mouths? I don't.
Well, there's two mouths here talking, but one side's being consistent and one side's not.